Selling at home has a lot of unique challenges, which is one of the reasons I love this job because it's so fun and it never gets boring. In most cases, when you do in-home sales, like selling home improvements, you're selling to just one or two people and it's in English. Sometimes, though, the customer doesn't speak English and has a translator for them, or multiple languages are being spoken while you're there. Here are some ways that I deal with that. In our business, there'll be times when you're in a home where you're doing a sales presentation where you've got a translator. In other words, the person who's the customer doesn't speak English or not very well, so they either have a friend or they have their relatives translate for them. A lot of times it's their children. The key in this situation is that the translator is either going to make it or break it for you. Keep in mind that by nature, this translator has a lot of credibility with the customer. The customer trusts them or they wouldn't be translating for them. Now, if the translator is on your side, they can help you make the sale, and if not, they won't. If they're not on your side, it could be horrible because you really won't know what's going on. For example, the situation where you say something and then the translator says to the customer something simple like, well, what they actually do is replace the whole roof. And then all of a sudden you're the customer who doesn't speak English, just go on and emotional and blah, 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 blah. And you don't understand what they're saying. And then when you ask the translator what they said, they say, oh, nothing. But if on the other hand, if the translator's on your side, they can help make the sale for you. See, the point is, they can't possibly translate all the value of your product, or more importantly, your personal credibility, as you could by talking directly to the customer. But if the translators are sold, at the end they'll tell their parents that it's a good deal and they should do it. Or not. In most cases, especially if they are their children, the customer tends to follow the translator's lead. That's why you have to sell the translator in a situation like this. You need to get great rapport with the translator. Some things that help me get on their good side, especially if you can tell they're dragged into this like the customer's children and they don't really want to do this, but they're helping their parents out, is to thank them for their time. For example, look, I really appreciate you taking the time to help your parents, and I can tell you really care for them to do that, and I respect that. Or I tell them to tell their parents, now please tell your parents for me that I said that they have good children to be helping them like this. Warm and fuzzy all the way around. A key thing I like to do is ask the translator what they think about their parents doing this. In other words, what they think about this whole situation. Do they think this is a good thing for their parents to be doing? Try to get a read on the translator's point of view along with the customer's. You can do this by asking the translator things like, what do you think I should be doing? Should I be just trying to find the cheapest price, or should they be getting the best quality? In other words, find out what the situation is so that you have the best chance of selling the translator and the parents. You also want to keep it very simple in stating the key features and benefits to the translator so it's simple for them to explain to the customer. You don't need to be telling them things like how your company is totally vertically integrated and every little detail like how the window has double cam compression locks. Instead, explain the company more by just telling them, look, tell them we do it all, and if you need anything, you just call us, not a lot of different people, and we'll take care of it. Or explain the window lock by saying, and the lock will keep all the air out and nobody can break in. I try to explain it in the way I do to someone who speaks limited or broken English. Keep it simple and to the point. I actually think that this is good training for me as a salesperson because it makes me simplify the verbiage and selling points a lot more. And in selling, it refocuses me on what the real important things are to begin with. It helps me make my regular sales calls a lot more effective and to the point. In general, when you're selling through a translator, you tend to focus more on the benefits and less on the features. Another version of where language can come in that is quite common is where the husband and wife speak English as well as their native tongue. The dynamic is that they'll talk to you in English, but sometimes they start to talk to each other in a different language. If so, it's important that you should address it as soon as it starts to happen. If you did your job up front and have enough rapport with them, you should have no problem with this. Be direct. My style is to say, look, if you don't mind, could you both speak English when we're talking? Because if I don't know what you're saying, I might not be able to help you with what we do by not knowing what the real situation is. Even if you say you hate this color or product, then I'll know not to waste your time. Now, the main thing is that I'm really afraid you're saying something bad about me or what I'm doing, and it makes me really nervous. And then give them a big smile. Use whatever style fits you, but be honest and direct. If you have great rapport and are strong, there's nothing wrong with just saying, I know I'm a guest in your home, but could you please both speak English so I know what's going on? A lot of people will respect that.